like that. Thank you very much. Can I have a copy to show my kids? So good evening. My name is Kawasaki, and I'm from Silicon Valley, California. I'm visiting your wonderful country and city for Motorola. I'm an advisor to Motorola. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about the most enchanting Android phone that's made. So throughout the evening you'll learn a lot about the Moto X, and I'm going to introduce this by talking about enchantment. And as you can see, enchantment is about influence and persuasion and changing people's minds. And with the Moto X, Motorola and Google, we're trying to influence and persuade and change people's minds. A little bit to start, I want you to notice on that screen that the hashtag for this event is Moto X, Moto X. So those of you who are connected to social media right now, which is roughly all of you, just go out there and tweet and update and post that you're at the Moto X introduction, so we can have this amazing worldwide trending topic of Pound Moto X, okay? As I said, I'm going to talk today about enchantment. This is a quick speech. We'd like to give you some content in addition to our product information. Let me begin by explaining a little bit of my background. I worked for Apple from 1983 to 1987, and then 1995 to 1997. I was Apple's software evangelist. So my job was to convince people to write Macintosh software. This meant that I worked for Steve Jobs in the Macintosh division, which was a very, very great experience. After that, I started several software companies. I became a writer and a speaker and an author. And today, I'm primarily a speaker and an advisor to Motorola. We'll get into my relationship with Motorola later. And one of the things that I want to help Motorola do is to create an enchanting brand, an enchanting line of products. And so this is the kind of thing that I think that we all should do to make more enchanting products and services. I have been watching high-tech speakers for about 30 years, and I've noticed two things about them. First, many of them suck, and second, they go long. And if you think about that, that's a bad combination, because if you suck and you go short, it's okay. And if you're great and you go long, it's okay. But if you suck and go long, that's like being stupid and arrogant. That's a bad combination. So what I do for my speeches is I use the top 10 format so that in case you think I suck, you know approximately how much longer I'll suck. So I have 10 key points about how to master the art of enchantment. So step number one is that great enchantment begins with a great smile. This is called a Duchenne smile. And the key difference to a Duchenne smile are your eyes. The key to a great smile are your eyes, not your jaw. So if you look at this picture, this is a picture of Mari Smith. She's a Facebook marketing expert. And you notice the wrinkles around her eyes. Those are called crow's feet. So I tell you that you actually want crow's feet. You want wrinkles there. So ladies in the audience, no more plastic surgery, no more Botox. You want wrinkles. You are not getting older. You are getting more enchanted. Step one, make a Duchenne smile. Step two is to always default to yes. By this I mean, when you meet people, always be thinking, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Instead of thinking how you can get something from someone else, always be thinking, what can I do to help this person? Now, you may think, well, people will take advantage of me. They'll ask me to do things that I don't want to do. My experience is that the upside of defaulting to yes far exceeds the downside of being taken advantage of. So if you want to be enchanting, always default to yes. Step number three is to become a baker, not an eater. Let me explain the difference. An eater sees the world as a zero-sum game. The pie is limited. There's one pie. If other people eat more of the pie, I eat less. If you think like an eater, you'll always want to eat the pie as fast as possible. If you are a baker doesn't see the world as a zero-sum game. The baker sees the world that I can bake bigger pies, I can bake more pies. Everybody can have pie. Bakers are much more enchanting than eaters. So become a baker, not an eater. Step number 4. Let me catch up here. Step number 4 is you should always accept others for what they are. For example, no matter how much jewelry they have in their face, no matter what gender, religion, country, background, football team, no matter what it is, accept people for what they are. Think about this. Have you ever been enchanted or influenced or persuaded by someone that you knew wanted you to change? Accept others. This, by the way, is a woman who works in the tourist areas of Edinburgh. And so if you want to take her picture like this, you have to pay her £1. I have to pay as a Silicon Valley investor. There are many, many tech startups that have a business model that is not as good as her business model. If you're ever in Edinburgh, you'll probably run into her, pay her £1 and take her a picture. Number 5 is to always find something to agree on. When you want to enchant someone, no matter how different you are, no matter how difficult it seems to make progress, always look for something to agree on. I'll give you 2 examples. One from my background at Apple. In the mid-80s, we tried to make Macintosh a spreadsheet, database, and word processing machine. We were 0 for free. Finally, Apple and the marketplace found something to agree on, which is that Macintosh was a great desktop publishing machine. I learned a very valuable lesson, that you may want to position your product in a certain way for certain customers, but in many cases, people who were not your intended customers will use your product in unintended ways. And when this happens, agree with the market and go with what they want to do. A second example, you may be wondering, what does this picture have to do with anything? The story goes, and it's from Latin America. 2 Latin American countries had a diplomatic crisis. They met in a neutral third country. After days of negotiation, they made no progress. So one diplomat said to the other diplomat, we need to finish by Friday, because on Friday I have to go home. I have to go home because I promised my wife I would take her to the opera. He goes on to explain that he hates the opera, and his wife forces him to take her to the opera. The other diplomat, upon hearing this, says, "Oh, your wife forces you to take her to the opera too? I also hate the opera, and my wife forces me to take her to the opera too." They finally found something to agree on. Whenever you're trying to enchant someone, find something to agree on, no matter how small. It can be opera, a dislike of opera. It can be desktop publishing. It can be your smartphone. Whatever it is, find something to agree on. Step number 6 in enchanting people is that you should create something that is great. It is much easier to enchant people with something. Must be a Windows microphone. It is much easier to enchant people with something that's great than something. This is me? You sure? So, it is much easier to enchant people with something that's great than something that's lousy. I have tried to enchant people with great things, and I have tried to enchant people with lousy things, and it is much easier with great things. So these are the 5 qualities of great things. Great things are deep, lots of features, lots of functionality. Great things are intelligent. When you look at them, you say, someone was thinking about our problem. Great products are complete. It's not just the phone. It's the phone. It's the apps. It's the online service and support. It's the degree of customization. All these things play into a great, complete product. Great products are also empowering. You don't fight a great product. A great product becomes one with you. And finally, great products, you can't see, the word is elegant. Great products are elegant. Someone cared about the user interface design. And you're going to learn more about the Moto X. And I truly do believe that a Moto X is deep, many features and functionality. It's very intelligent. You'll see the easiest way to turn on your camera. It's complete with the totality of Google and Motorola behind the product. It is empowering and it is elegant. So, make a great product. It's much easier to enchant people with a great product than a lousy product. Number 7. Number 7 is remove the speed bumps to your enchantment. Many of us have great products and services, but we make it too difficult for customers. This is an example. This is a screen of CAPTCHA. How many of you have encountered CAPTCHA, registering for a database, registering for a site? Everybody, right? What's the purpose of CAPTCHA? It's to reduce the number of customers that you have. The first word is Holber, H-O-L-B-E-R. What is the second word? How many of you know what language that is? None of you. There's 1,000 people in here. None of you. That second word is Hebrew. You need to know Hebrew, and you need to have a Hebrew keyboard to get past this CAPTCHA screen. Why doesn't the company just tell you, we don't want you to register? It would be a simpler message. This is an example of a speed bump. Remove these kinds of speed bumps. Number 8. Number 8 is to be sure you enchant everyone in the decision-making process. Many times when you look at a family unit, you assume that it's the father who makes the decision. In most families, I believe it's the mother. The mother is the key decision maker. Sometimes it's the sister, could be the father-in-law, In my particular family, it's the daughter. I will do whatever it takes to make my daughter happy. I can only be as happy as my daughter is. So if you want to influence me, influence my daughter. My daughter is the key. The message here is to be sure you enchant everybody in the decision-making process. Don't assume who the decision maker is. Number 9. Number 9 is to build a great ecosystem around your product or service. If you think about it, if you have, for example, a software product, it's not just the software. It's the software and the user groups and the websites and the consultants and the developers. In the Android world, it's not just Google. Google makes Android, but there are carrier partners. There are handset manufacturers. There are consultants. There are app developers. Consider one of the great strengths of Android are all the Android developers and the hundreds of thousands of Android apps. Google doesn't make those apps. The carriers don't make those apps. Neither do the handset manufacturers. It's the totality of the Android world that makes Android so strong. You need to build an ecosystem. Number 10. Number 10 is to be sure to reciprocate. If you want to be enchanting, reciprocate. There's a book that's the cover. It's called Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. The best book ever written about influence. And this is a card that people love this example. In the 1930s, Italy invaded Ethiopia. And when Italy invaded Ethiopia, the people of Mexico collected money and sent money to Ethiopia to help Ethiopia defend its country. About 90 years later, on this day, there was a tremendous, tragic earthquake, right? 90 years later, after the war, the people of Ethiopia, even though they were in the middle of a famine, collected money and sent money back to Mexico. That's how powerful reciprocation is. You know, in the United States, we have a similar example. After the Civil War, the people of New York bought the people of Charleston a fire truck because they heard that the people of the people of Charleston were using bucket brigade. When the people of New York found this out, they bought the people of Charleston a fire truck. The fire truck was on a boat, the first boat sank. They bought them a second fire truck. 150 years go by, and the people of Charleston reciprocated by the people of New York a fire truck after 9/11. So in the American case of 150 years, in your case of 85 years, reciprocation is a very powerful factor in enchantment. That's the top 10 of enchantment. I'm going to give you a little bonus. As we say in social media, this is a +1. So if all else fails, if you have this great product and this great service, and you're defaulting to yes, and you're thinking like a baker, not an eater, you're doing all those great things, you're trying to find something in common, you're accepting people for what they are, you do all that, and it's still not working, then my recommendation is you get down on your knees and you beg for help. This is a picture of me with Richard Branson. He and I were in Moscow making a speech at a conference. He came up to me in the speaker room and asked me if I've ever flown on Virgin. Being the honest person that I am, I told him, Richard, I have never flown on Virgin. In fact, I'm a United Airlines global service level customer. It's the highest level of United Airlines. And when I told him that, this is what he did. He got down on his knees and he started polishing my shoes with his jacket. This is the moment that I started flying on Virgin. This is Sir Richard Branson, billionaire, gets down on his knees so that one person flies on Berkeley. So if all else fails, you're going to hear a lot about Moto X following me. You're going to get hands-on with Moto X. You're going to see how great a Moto X is. But if none of that moves you, we at Motorola, we will get down on our knees and ask you to try Moto X. Because we want you to try the most enchanting Android phone ever made. Thank you very much.